Dear friends, the famous American Catholic periodical published my article on January 24, 2025, titled, "A Female Cardinal at the Head of the Governorate?" Francis on Italian TV announces other epochal changes. On Sunday, January 19, 2025, Pope Francis appeared on the television show Che Tempo Che Fa, hosted by Fabio Fazio, for the third time during his pontificate. His decision to participate in a media context often criticized for superficiality and radical chic ideological alignment raised eyebrows, further fueling criticism of a pontificate that seems to focus more on media popularity than doctrinal clarity. On this occasion, the Pope took the opportunity to promote his recent autobiography, Hope, the first in history to be published by a reigning Pope. This book, which presents itself as a personal account of the life of Jorge Mario Bergoglio, is already a topic of discussion for its symbolic implications. If it is true that never before has a successor of Peter decided to publicly narrate his personal story with such detail, the gesture appears emblematic of an era in which public image and media narrative seem to exalt and commend the supposed virtues of humility and mercy of the reigning Pope. However, the Italian publishing market, according to some Italian sources, has received the book with lukewarm enthusiasm. Many publishers and booksellers reportedly lament a constant decline in interest towards publications by Pope Francis, described by some as repetitive and unable to capture the attention of an already saturated audience. He has written too much, people have lost interest, figures in the Italian publishing industry would confidentially confess. But it wasn't just the autobiography that made headlines during the broadcast. Pope Francis announced that Sister Raffaella Petrini, the current Secretary General of the Governorate of Vatican City-State, will assume the role of president starting in March 2025, replacing Cardinal Fernando Vérgez Alzaga, who will turn 80 on March 1st. This decision raises questions not only of an institutional nature, but also of an ecclesiological one. Women handle problems better than men, said the Pope, writing one of the most painful clichés, and cited Ursula von der Leyen as an example. The fundamental law of Vatican City-State, promulgated by Pope Francis himself in 2023 to replace that of John Paul II, indeed stipulates that the president of the Governorate must be a cardinal. Therefore, the appointment of Sister Petrini would require an amendment to the current regulations or mark the beginning of a path towards the institution of lay cardinals and even female cardinals. This latter scenario, although seemingly unlikely, echoes rumors that have been circulating in Vatican circles for months about a possible reform of the conclave, which would include lay electors directly appointed by the Pope, with the right to vote, but not to be voted for. These rumors have recently quieted down, but who knows? These hypotheses raise profound ecclesial questions. Introducing yet another element foreign to the traditional vision of the Church risks irreversibly altering its hierarchical and sacramental structure, as well as the authority of the Roman pontiff himself, all of which are already severely compromised. In a context already marked by doctrinal confusion and internal divisions, such an innovation could further exacerbate tensions. St. Thomas Aquinas teaches that the frequency with which laws are changed undermines their authority and leads to a decrease in respect and obedience towards them, as people end up perceiving them as unstable and untrustworthy. Human law should never be changed, writes the Prince of Theologians, except to meet the common good. But in this case, a great and evident utility should derive from the new statutes, or there must be a great necessity, either because the customary law contains a manifest iniquity or because its observance is very harmful. Therefore, in establishing new laws, the utility must be evident, so that one can deviate from a law that has long seemed fair. It is no secret that this pontificate has been characterized by a strongly revolutionary approach, often accompanied by a sense of urgency. The rapid pace at which changes and innovations are introduced reveals a desire to profoundly impact the future of the Church, perhaps in response to the weight of old age and health problems that the Pope himself has never hidden. However, this frenzy risks compromising the stability and unity of the ecclesial body, creating a climate of disorientation and distrust. At a historical moment when the Church should position itself as a beacon of truth and hope in an increasingly lost world, the current pontificate appears to be clearly following the thinking of the world, adapting to it in a worrying way. The desire to engage in dialogue with the modern world, though laudable in its intentions, today translates into concessions that risk diluting the specificity of the Christian message. The apparent obsession with image and media popularity only accentuates the feeling of a disconnect between pastoral leadership and the spiritual needs of the people of God, as it seems that the focus has shifted from nourishing souls to building superficial and worldly consensus. Adding to this is a general climate of despondency among the faithful and priests, who increasingly feel abandoned and lacking in solid points of reference. Trust in ecclesiastical institutions is undermined by decisions that appear driven more by earthly logic than by a sincere desire for the triumph of the militant church on this earth. The widespread impression is that of a church progressively distancing itself from its primary mission, which is to lead souls to salvation. In the face of this situation, it is necessary for those who have the authority, capacity, and responsibility to intervene to do so soon, with courage and determination. Prelates who share concern for the future of the Church must raise their voices, not as solitary singers, but united, and draw attention to the spiritual, legislative, and doctrinal urgencies that cannot be ignored. It is not about opposing for the sake of contestation, but about exercising that prophetic role that belongs to those who care about the truth and the good of the Church. May the high prelates who care about preserving the traditional essence of the Church feel addressed by the words that God speaks to the prophet Ezekiel in Scripture. If, when I say to the wicked, thou shalt surely die, thou declare it not to him, nor speak to him, that he may be converted from his wicked way and live. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but I will require his blood at thy hand. Ezekiel 3:18. History teaches us that moments of crisis can be opportunities for rebirth, but only if faced with faith and discernment. The confusion and disorientation that reigns supreme today must be countered with a renewed fidelity to the tradition of the Church. Only in this way will it be possible to restore to the Church the credibility and authority it needs to fulfill its mission in the world.